State has its secrets, and Washington's got two faces. Rainforest on the coast, dry scrub in the east. One man seen it all, guerrilla grower. Outlaw teacher Sly, aka Local. That's why Internet Pot partnered with him, to learn, to log, to grow smarter.
Oh, Local walks through cedar shade, raindrops heavy where the rivers wave. Across the mountain, sun bakes ground, sandy loam, dust swirling round. He's run crops hidden deep in the pines, tracked the seasons, read the signs. Now his lessons feed the code, Internet of Pot walks the road. Partner with the pioneers, wisdom flows like a local. The system grows from wet west woods to dry east stone. CannaConvos makes the knowledge our own. Know your soil, he laughs, that's the start. Clay grips tight, sand falls apart. One strain thrives in the valley floor, another up high where the eagles soar. Think first growers debate, refine. AI listens, adjusts in time. Old hands teach, young minds learn. Together the cycle takes its turn.
Internet of Pot ain't guessing, it's listening. Every tip from Loco gets lost.
Yo, what up, everybody? You already know it's like a Loco here with another episode of CannaConvos, and today we got Mark from Perfect Gardens. Bow, bow, bow. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on the channel and just talk with your audience. I appreciate you, bro. It's
Yes, sir.
it's such a pleasure to meet you over in Missouri. It was such a great trip, and just to be able to reconnect is really nice. So thank you.
Yeah, man. When we got there, okay, so we'll talk about this here in a little bit, but I got a story to tell everybody the first time that we met that night. And you'll remember that one. But for everybody, if you don't know, Mark is a YouTuber. He is an Instagrammer, and he was one of the growers that was there at the Growmie Getaway in Missouri for CannaConcepts. So that's a long one, but that's what was going on. We were there having a great time spreading the knowledge of growing cannabis over there at CannaConcepts. But the Growmie Getaway was me, Vixen, L, Crimson, Mark here, 420 Thing Grows, Batcave Grows. We had a lot of homies there that were coming through. And so it turned out to be one real cool ass getaway. So while I was there, I had to book everybody. So I'm like, yo, Mark, man, you want to come on CannaConvos? And he's so kind enough to come on the show. So once again, thank you, sir, for coming on.
You're welcome, brother. Yeah, it was the first time we met. You came in late, right? I was already asleep, and the door, and then you were like, so if I remember straight, we were already asleep. My daughter came with me. And there's a pull-out couch right when you come into the front door. And this guy, Sly, is so kind. Let's just be real clear with this. Let me explain the situation, the environmental situation where, I mean, it was rain coming down. I can't remember if there was a lightning storm. I mean, it was slippery, and the only other door was you had to walk down like 3 flights of stairs to come around to the back house, which was super sketch and slippery as fuck, right? And so he came in, and I was asleep with my daughter, and he sees real quick. I mean, he has great night vision, so sees what's going on. He's like, oh shit. And so he stops, and before I could get up and tell him to come in, he's already walking around the back of the house, and that door was locked. It was downstairs. I could hear him rustling around. So I was just like, I should definitely let him in. And that's how we met originally. So it let me know who you were and what type of a human being you were in the first few seconds. And I instantly knew you were definitely a person I wanted to get to know a little bit more. So
thank you, brother. Now, let me fill everybody else in a little bit of that. Now, me and my wife got into Missouri around 5. I think it was. We got to the house around 4 or 5 in the morning. It was very early. huge thunderstorm was going on. Like I haven't been drenched like that in a while. My phone is actually broken because of that. So I'm whipping out my phone and I'm like, oh my God, are we in the right place? I was like, because I don't know which, there's two houses right there. There was the one that we stayed in and the one next door, right? And I didn't know where to go. So I went knocking on the house next door first. That had an awning right there because we were all under there trying to get away from the water. And went knocking on those doors and went around, almost knocked on the window to try to get somebody awake. And then I was like, hold on, maybe it's this other one because there's a keypad on this other door. So that I'm supposed to put the keypad number in. Okay, all right. So I'm going there, getting wet, soaking. I'm just like frustrated, like, oh God. I put the number in, boom, it works. Oh, cool. Walk in, and I'm telling you guys, this was crazy. I walk in, and all I see is Mark and his daughter. Actually, I think I saw your daughter first, and I was like, uh-oh. Hey, yo. I was like, no. Grab my wife. I said, go. She's like, what? I'm like, we're in somebody's room. She's like, what? I'm like, I don't know. Just get out. Go. So we go outside and we're like, oh my God. So I'm like, it has to be another door. So that's where we go around the back and knocking on the door. And I'm just like, oh my God, what did I do? I was so embarrassed. I was like, this is not a way for them to wake up. It's some random fucking house. Yeah, that was, oh God. And then Mark, thank you, Mark. You came down and you just opened the door for me right away. And you're like, no, you're in the right place. I was like, oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. But that was a good way to start the trip off.
It was a great way to start the trip. It was all of you guys in that house that day. I was actually the only person that didn't know anyone really. All of you guys have had a previous relationship. I kind of got invited in the last couple weeks before everything happening, and I'm always hesitant to bring my daughter around, and I was just so happy I brought her. All of you guys were. There's other families there, other kids there. I mean,
yep.
Yeah, great trip.
Yeah, it turned out to be a really good one, man. I felt like we all did have like a little relationship before we got there, so we all knew each other to some sort, right? So when we got there, and because we had been like me and Elle, we've been talking and following each other since he started on social media, I think. And then Vixen I had known about a year before that because she was like, I was one of the first ones that she invited to go do that when she started the planning. So I was like, man, this is, great. So I just fell right in like, this is fam here, man. We just chilling, we on vacation. This is like literally a vacation, but kind of work at the same time too. So like, that's one of the best things because you're knocking out two birds with one stone. You're booking this. You're like me. I was already booking everybody. I'm like, yo, I need you on the show. Everybody's like, what? Yeah, cool, of course. I'm like, kind of made me feel good that everybody wanted to be on the show too. It was like, all right, my show's not shit.
No. Yeah, we did canoeing that trip. We did on these lifted trucks, listening to music on a strip. We did. We were gonna go on boats. Man, she took care of us. She, like, wow.
Yeah, wow. That was very VIP status is what we had.
Yeah,
and it felt like it. It felt like it too. When we were sitting there, because there was a moment that we were sitting at Mocana Fest when all of us were over back at the table and we were getting ready to go on stage and we were all watching everything go happen. And we're passing around the joints and I'm just looking around like, man, can you believe this is happening? Like, this is wild. We're going to get up here on stage and start to do this. Like, this is wild. And it went great. It was hot. I got to admit, it was hot. I was sweating it. And I do apologize that I threw out my back that day. You were very kind and trying to give me all this stuff to help me with my back. You gave me some pills, I don't even know what it was. I took it because I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'll take it. I don't care. I need some relief.
You ended up falling asleep, right? For a while.
I had what?
I thought you've ended up falling asleep because I remember your back was hurting.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, it was hands down the best cannabis show, trade show. And it wasn't just because of the show. It was just all the various, you normally I'll go to a show and it's just about the show and there's the vendors and you meet some people and then smoke some weed and kind of go home. This one was, I mean, the whole experience, it was phenomenal. I highly recommend check out the Missouri Cannabis event if you guys are ever in the area too. I think they have it. I think she said they do it once a month.
Oh, bro, they do it all the time. I think they're at like 16 or 17 already. They were at 14 when we got there, and then they had another one like a couple months later, and then a couple months ago they had another one. So everybody out there, if you get a chance to go to Mocana Fest, go check it out. It's only like, I think, $10 at the door to get in. I don't know if you paid, but they made me pay. I was like, wow. But anyways, I was like, yo, I'm talent. What the fuck? I gotta pay. They're like, oh, okay, here. But anyways, I found my way over to talk to Jimmy, and Jimmy is a really cool dude. Okay, now Jimmy is the
landowner, yeah.
Landowner. Okay, he is the landowner of there, and he is one cool ass dude. I highly suggest everybody go look him up. He's a legend in those neck of the woods. Yeah, it was a great time, man. Great time. But I wanted to get into you. All right, this show is about you and your whole just being cool ass dude, man. So the first thing that I always ask everybody when they get on the show is, how did you come up with your name? How did you come up with Perfect Gardens?
Well, the original name prior to Perfect Gardens was Green Joint Ventures.
Okay.
That was the original name.
I like that.
And so in 2012, we were rated and with the largest indoor grow facility in the state of California in 2012. Yeah, we had a little over 500 lights. We converted an old mushroom farm, and this is on a 2-acre farm. It had its own power plant on the farm. We converted this old mushroom farm to
hold on, what kind of power plant did it have?
Well, I mean, so our family, a little bit more back, we've been in industrial ag for close to 50 years. My parents developed the systems and processes for harvesting, packaging, and distributing lettuce worldwide. So in the 70s, my parents, in a 12-year span, took lettuce production from harvesting and packaging and distributing lettuce 1,400 pounds an hour, and they took it to 65,000 pounds an hour. So in the 12-year span, that's how much they scaled up agricultural production by tweaking the systems and processes of people going out, harvesting it, disking it, putting it into bags, extending the shelf life of the product so that you could harvest a piece of lettuce in Monterey, California, and have it shipped to Russia, in the 24-hour period without it molding. So my parents, they developed basically just the agricultural infrastructure for lettuce and other similar products in that 12-year span in Monterey, California. Because of how much food Monterey, California produces, those same systems and processes started to gravitate out to other agricultural commodities, because the way you harvest a lettuce, you can harvest a cabbage, and some of those techniques can be crossed over into strawberries, and some of them can be then shifted over into the apple industry. And before you know it, you started to create massive ripple effects in big ag. And so
yeah, but cabbage has a longer shelf life than lettuce does, though. But
Well, it's more about how plants are grown and and how they're grown, how they're harvested, how they're like. I'll give you an example: chlorine. So the reason why we use chlorine in big ag, and whether it's a good idea or not, was because my father, because that killed the bacteria and it extended the shelf life, and it wouldn't mold as quickly. So
okay.
it's not specifically about the specific whether it's berries or whether it's strawberries. It's more about the mechanisms of people, like herding people into a focal point to get a job done and get it out to the market, right? And these
To the masses.
each of the masses, right? When we go back over to the mushroom farm, just to explain that this part, most of these farms out in Monterey, California, they have their own power plant on there. Where when I say power plant, so we talk about 1,000 watts, right? As a 1,000 watt HID system or LED system, and that's pretty in most people's mind. You might have a 4-lighter. Okay, that's 4,000 watts. So, well, how about if you have 100 1,000 watts? What if you have 1,000 1,000 watts, right? So when you start to get to about 1,000 1,000 watt systems, you have to have your own power inverters on the property. You have to, you have main lines that come in from the power poles that then convert the power, so it increases the power extension, so it can go to power everything you need. So when I say a power plant, it has large
Inverter.
large inverters, large equipment,
Okay.
where if you piss on the wrong direction, you're going to get electrocuted and die, right?
So be careful.
So during that time when we got raided in 2012, I thought it was a really great idea to change the name of Green Joint Venture to Perfect Gardens, because it was all over the newspapers, right? So I quickly changed the name, hoping people would think that Green Joint Ventures went out of business and a new owner,
So you rebranded it.
I rebranded it. Yeah, I rebranded
Yeah.
it.
And that's totally fine, because there's companies out here that rebrand themselves all the time. Okay, one of the shows that I watch is Bar Rescues, right? And on Bar Rescues, that's what he does. Anytime he grabs a new bars, he rebrands it, puts a new name on it, same owners, but just revamps it and puts that on. There you go. It's sometimes it's what you have to do, and that's okay.
And Perfect Gardens has now existed for 13, 14 years, but in total with Green Joint Ventures, we've been here for 16 years in the industry. And
now, I do want to bring something up real quick. I want to bring something up real quick. Like, this is something that most people won't experience, but it's something that happens to, the very few, is when they have started a grow operation. I'm sure you were, at one point you were okay to grow, and then the next thing you know, you're getting raided, right? They're coming up, raiding you, taking away all your plants. It has to be a kick in the nuts, man, because it's like a lot of work. It's so much work to put together any agriculture vineyard situation, place, operation, whatever you want to call it, and for all that to go down the drain, oh shit, it's gotta suck. But you're here.
Well, to go a little bit further into the situation, more like many different like paradoxes happen. So prior to starting Green Joint Ventures and Perfect Gardens, I was in the military, and so when I was in the military, I used to be with the 212th Pararescue, and so and I won't get into what that is, but basically,
Thank you for our service.
Thank you
for your service.
That. I spent most of my time on war on drugs, on heroin, specifically on the border. So when, just in a 6-month time, I gave over 200 Narcan shots. And so Narcan is when people are ODing on heroin, specifically. And during that time, all kinds of shit. So my point is that when I was in the military, I was trained to kind of kick down the doors. and then, you know, fast forward to get out of the military, go through that whole military, the cannabis experience, and then to get the doors get kicked on you, it was a really interesting, you know, like rude awakening, right? It's like, because you, in your mind, I think in your mind, or for myself, in my mind, you know, any world you're part of, you know, good guy versus bad guy is always dressed up to be a bad guy, and that's why you justify your actions, you know, to go do things, right? But then
Yeah.
later in my life, I was just growing a plant, and then that happens to me and my father, I mean, my family, my grandmother, my grandma was in there. She was cussing out the cops, right? And to just then be labeled later as a bad guy, right? And
Yeah.
it's
After all the good
just,
you've done.
yeah, well, whatever, the good, the whatever it is, it's just, yeah, it's just, it was an
And
interesting,
hold on. And they're labeling you a bad guy over something that this fucking plant that now just so happens to be rescheduled and is not no longer with heroin and all that anymore. So it's like, yo, like the war on drugs is fair, and I understand the war on drugs, right? But cannabis is not a drug, and it hasn't been a drug. It's a medicine. It's been a medicine since the beginning. Now there's all just like all medicines, you can abuse it and overuse it, but you ain't gonna die from no fucking weed. All right, you'll die from some heroin, alcohol, fucking all this, Tylenol. Anyways, back to what you're saying.
I know. Um, and to give you a little bit more context with the whole situation on just the full extent of the cannabis experience on that side, it wasn't just the mushroom farm, but during that time when clients would come into the grow shop, like so many other stores, they did not know what they were doing, right? And most stores would just sell them equipment, you know, and send them on their way. Well, prior to, so while doing the ag, my parents, when they got out of agriculture, my we started our own construction company, and so during this two decade experience with that side, we had built, we had fixed and flipped maybe 150 homes, you know, like from junkers to fixing them to selling them, and then also we built maybe 20 multi-million-dollar homes. So we had a full extensive construction experience as well as the ag experience. So when people came into our store and you know, like, okay, I'm selling you 1,000-watt light, we were very aware of how much electricity was being used. So like all the equipment that's being used isn't meant for a residential home. It's meant for a commercial building. It's meant for industrial, you know, like it's meant for
An
farmlands
industrial
where
warehouse.
industrial warehouse, things that are built to handle high voltage and water and mold and plumbing and
Are we
all
talking about
kinds
HP? Are we talking about
of
HPS lights?
it was HPS, LED, even LEDs they're
Oh,
using
okay.
750 watts, right? That's 1,000-watt light systems. You're still dealing with a 15 amp circuit, and how many can you plug in? How, you know, all these things matter. So I guess my point is, when we started, we also started to we gave them a full turnkey operation. So as they bought the equipment, we would also set up their grow facility, and then the next step organically went into, okay, you set up our grow facility. Well, I don't know how to grow the plants. How do you do that? So we went all, at the peak, I was grow consulting close to 72 operations, including running the mushroom farm. And these 72 other operations had anywhere from 6 lights to 20 lights. And over a course of 4.5 to 5 years, I would visit them once a week. We'd go through grow consulting. When we'd get to the end of harvest, I would then pick up their product and distribute it for them, because like so many other issues in distribution is, you can have your own grow, but then, and it's great product, right? But then once you run out of it, your buyer wants more, and if you don't have something, he goes somewhere else. And so we, over a course of 4.5 to 5 years, we went through like any level of organization around the mushroom farm. Okay, produced product, but we would still run out of product quickly, and so we had to have continuous product being harvested year round for close to 5 years. And when we got busted, the wholesale price went from 2,300 back up to 2,900 for almost a year. So that's how much inventory. So in the total operational side, we were, I believe, over 1,000 lights in all the 72 other operations, plus the mushroom farm throughout the Monterey, California, all that product being produced. So like I said, over 4.5 to 5 years.
Jesus.
So it was intense.
Crazy. Yeah, that's a lot of power there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm happy, the stress that you kind of increased, the stress kind of got increased, and I don't know if I could ever go back to it, if that makes sense. Just
like, you mean up to that level of stress, like you would be able to handle that much level of stress? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know how much, if I'd ever want to ever deal with that level of stress again.
I'd imagine no.
Every time you get in the car, you're going to be, arrested. Every time someone in your network gets raided or busted, are you going to get busted? I never knew why, because so many people over the years, when you're in it for so long, other people get in trouble, right? And I knew I was only a couple phone calls away from the day they got in trouble. And so I'd always those thoughts of like, when's my door going to get knocked on, right? It's like, okay, I've had 25 people get in trouble around me over a course of years. There has to be a fucking whiteboard with people's names, and the same name keeps reoccurring, right? In some shit.
It's all pointing to you.
So I don't know. It's just different thoughts. I'm very happy not breaking the law anymore and just being
Now I feel the same way. Once it became legal over here, more when I got my rec card. When I got my rec card and I was legally able to grow weed, I have felt so much better, that relief, to where kind of the same way. I don't know. I've always been a gangster, if you would say, to where I don't give a fuck about the cops. Like, you're not going to scare me. I am not afraid to go to jail. So, but I haven't went to jail in a long time. So I'd imagine I wouldn't want to lose everything that I have now to go to fucking jail. So it's changed. But I don't feel like that anymore. And it feels amazing not being able to, or not feeling like you're always going to get arrested, or having to look around over your shoulder. I did it a couple days ago. I looked over my shoulder and I was like, wait a minute. I said, man, what are you doing, dog? You don't have to do that shit anymore, man. You're all legit. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm legit to the fullest. It was crazy. So I understand that feeling. And especially over here where we're at, okay? I'm over here in Washington State. You're in California. Our states are very cannabis friendly. From Washington, Oregon, Cali, now Nevada, cannabis friendly. We have had our established rec just started, but it's been fucking a couple of years. It's been a while. So, we have everything established. We are not, other places around here are not as lucky as us. Okay. Texas, like these poor people, man. Texas, Louisiana, and the South, like, Jesus, they are barely even starting to catch up with the times, and still people are getting their houses kicked in. They're all this shit just for growing this fucking plant, brother. It kills me. It kills me that they can't go to a store and get weed if they want. There's still that real black market. Like,
you're right. I mean, just to bring it into people's perspective, I have a client over in Sweden. And a year and a half ago, he got pulled over, right? And right there on the road, they forced him to do a urine test. He passed the urine test. On the fucking road, they had him pull his dick out and fucking pee in a fucking cup and test it right there on the fucking road, right? In
For
Sweden.
weed?
For yeah, for anything. They just wanted, they have the right to urine test you right there on the road, or they pull you over. If you don't do it, it's automatically being arrested. So he passed. So then the cop was all like, "No, I want you to follow me into town. I'm going to take you to the hospital for a blood test," right? So he goes and does the blood test. He comes up dirty with a 0.001% THC in his system. He loses his license. He loses his job for a year. He is it, which is just kind of hilarious because he has no income, no nothing. He lives in the middle of nowhere, and it was funny because he has he had a job, he has everything. Now he got fired, doesn't have his license, and now he's forced to really become a drug dealer for a fucking year and a half so he can pay his mortgage, and he can support himself and feed himself. And it's just funny when you think about this, how of a slippery slope the system is, when, like you say, cannabis isn't a drug, because it's tied into the RICO Act and drugged into to all these past laws. In other places in the world, it's still really bad. It's still, it will destroy people's lives. And so
Now this is so what I'm trying to
yeah,
understand is, like, when did it start? So it started back in the 50s with the whole against cannabis. Well, in America at least, they started hating on cannabis because they were trying to scare people, the American people, about Mexicans. So they started calling it marijuana. And that's why they were like, "Oh, don't smoke it because you'll be like the Mexicans." And da-da-da-da. So it was
right there. So, and we had a huge, all of the paper, all of our bills, like the greenbacks, all these things were printed on hemp paper, right? So we had
yes.
full industries built all around the hemp plant to harvest the plant and extract its value as much as possible. So then, so then they also started to recognize that with the paper industry. And so at that point, William Modern Purse Administrator was in a position to lobby to add cannabis into to add, if I remember straight, to make it illegal. I can't remember specifically. It was put, I think it was put in some type of a law. I can't remember.
Yeah, well, and that's one thing that they also did to scare the people, to get people to back them up and be like, "Yeah, we should legalize." It was telling you, I'll pull up the little paper right
campaign.
here, and the propaganda campaign where they're saying, "Don't smoke it because you'll become a Mexican," or what they said. I'll fucking put it up here because it's just ridiculous, and that part like really pisses me off. But anyways, the whole thing is. And the paper and everything, and they started lobbying, and it just caught on. And when it caught on, I'm pretty sure it started catching on everywhere else, right?
Well,
or was it already
the RICO? It was with the RICO Act.
Okay.
So that's when it went international, right? So and that got tied in with all the money situation, and so the RICO Act got tied in, if I remember straight, to the Patriot Act with terrorism, right? So see, it was a building of the situation of how it got tied in and went international, and how it became a global, how it became a situation where the globe, where I don't want to say the globe, but the realm became
The status quo.
Mandated. It became a status quo where this plant was trumped into all these other illegal things because of money specifically. But prior to that, it was illegal and it had a bad juju around it. But no one was really, if I remember straight, it was like a taboo. It was like okay, you're going to get in trouble with it. If I remember, but that was like here in the United States. It didn't go international until RICO Act. I'd love for people to make a comment and tell me if I'm wrong on that. But then from the RICO Act, it went to the Patriot Act, and that was when it was tied into terrorism. And tell me if I'm right around the Patriot Act. It was either the Patriot Act or the freedom.
I'll put it in
one of those. Yeah.
I'll put it in here after the show once I look it up, and then we'll make a whole little presentation about it and try to tell people about this. But so what I'm trying to get at is that because of that act, federal act, right? And it started catching on around the world. Now, around the world, people just didn't like weed. I don't understand where it happened to where alcohol took over and became the social acceptance, thing that it has become, to where it's okay to take a little, have a little bit of drinks, get a little fucked up to relieve your stress. But how dare you smoke a little bit of weed, And
that was connected on when prohibition, right? So when alcohol was made legal, because it was illegal originally, it flipped, if I remember straight, roughly around the same timeline. Alcohol was illegal, cannabis was legal, and then when cannabis became illegal, alcohol became legal. And so that's when that started to take off, and cannabis started to go downward, if I remember straight on the timeline. It's a very close parallel within a matter of a couple years. I think it was in the 30s, if I remember straight, is when you have
I remember
that flip happening.
There was one of those women that was happening around there where she went to a bar and she started busting up every bar that she went to because her husband drank himself to death. I'll put a picture in here, being what her name was. But it was around that same time where I think it was temperance law, I want to say it's called, is where it was where alcohol started becoming prohibited against.
Interesting.
I can't believe it. I'm blanking on the fucking names. Anyways, it's crazy stories. Crazy stories. What do you think?
Well, I think genuinely this also, when you connect also the legalization, the privatization of the prison system, and the needing to fill those prisons with people because most people don't realize back in the 90s, every prisoner was worth $40,000 a year. And paid by the taxpayers. Well, I think it's higher now. I think it's somewhere around like 80,000 per prisoner per year. It goes to the taxpayer, right? And so I think when we had a number of things kind of happen all at once, right? We have the privatization of the prison system starting to happen, I believe, in the 80s. Then then with the propaganda machine and the need to fill those prison systems, laws needed to be created to imprison those people, right? And then you need to also create a social environment where breaking the law was socially acceptable, and that's where the rap industry also got exacerbated. It went from deep music of connection and love to you know, like hippie days, right, to the thug industry, right, of killing, stealing, and bling bling, and this is how I'm gonna make my money. But a lot of people also don't know a lot. Like it came out, you know, 10 years ago or so, where the prison system brought in like the 5 most well-known, most influential hip hop rappers, and they weren't even rap. It was just like hip hop singers. Brought them all in the room, a room. It was like, listen, we want you to change your style of music and singing, right, to more violence and to more of this. And if you do that, we're going to fucking pay you X amount. You know, you're going to be taken care of for the rest of your life. One of the 5 never. One of the 5 didn't go with it, and he ended up outing it like 20 years later, 25 years later. And he's on there recording. Obviously, that interview got very little views, but he discussed that the people that held that interview were the executives of the people privatizing the prison system, and their problem was the need to, how are we going to fill these new prisons, right? So
well, also there was also the thing that just blew my mind was a little while ago. A couple of years ago, I was looking up the definition of slavery somehow. I don't know how I got onto it, but it said slavery, or the abolishment of slavery. I'm sorry. The abolishment of slavery is abolished unless you're imprisoned. There's this little line right under it. It says, unless you're imprisoned. And I was like, oh, there it is. That's what they need. Still need your slaves to do some stuff. So, hey, they're not slaves anymore, but lock them up. And now we're going to make them do whatever they had. And when you're locked up, I don't know how long you've been locked up, but I was locked up most of my life. Okay. So I've been the number. Okay. I've been set there. I've found out their little schemes and how they make money every fucking day off the commissary, reselling the commissary, and up in the fucking getting it for like, because they get the soups for 10 cents a soup, but they charge $1 something nowadays for a soup.
Free labor too. NASA
free
has
labor.
A $7 billion contract with the prison system to make like computer chips.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
like,
and you would think if you're doing all this work in prison, that when you get out,
no, 3 cents an hour, motherfucker.
Nope. You better motherfucker get your 3 cents, bitch, and be happy about it. Yeah. Oh.
And honestly, I don't know how much prisoners get made. But it's low, right? It's 10 cents, 25 cents an hour.
I think it's 12 cents. Yeah.
12
I think it's like 12 cents an hour. It's fucking ridiculous. And the thing though, like for real, you can't go and get a job later with that skills. If you're making fucking microchips, you would think you would be able to go use that shit to get a job at a microchip making place in Taiwan or something. But no, you know, like I cooked I've always cooked my whole career, right? And I was in here at my jail, and I just got to the kitchen every time. Every time I went in there, I got in the kitchen. I was making 700, plus 700 meals twice a day. Wow. Went and tried to put that on my resume, tried to say that because I didn't know. I was still ignorant, so I didn't know. And I tried to put that on my resume. These motherfuckers laughed at me so hard. They're like, dude, you can't say that. I was like, what? Why not? I mean, that's experience. They're like, no, it doesn't work like that. I'm like, oh.
It leads into questions like, okay, so 700 meals a day, twice a day? Where did you do that at? In prison. Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
we'll call you when we make our decision, right? Yeah. It's like, and then if you lie about it, then you're shamed. You're like, listen, if I tell you the truth, you're not gonna give me a fucking job, and if I lie about it, I have a better chance of getting a fucking job, and then you could just fire me later. At least I have some fucking food in my money in my pocket, like I'm not gonna feel guilty for lying. I mean, look at all of our politicians, right? It's like it's I don't know. This world's fucking. If you haven't went crazy, I know I've went crazy a few fucking times already. But if you haven't went crazy, you're not looking hard enough at what's happening around our fucking society on a daily basis.
Bro, I had to shut off. I had to shut off because I've been in it since I was a kid. My eyes have been open to the way that the world works, and I've tried to fight and spread the word as much as possible. And now I'm just tired, man. I'm tired. I've been fighting for so long. I just don't want to fight anymore. I just want peace. I just want to kick back. I don't even watch anything.
You think about that, right? Like what does, when you're a real fucking slave, and yeah, you don't have a ball and chain hooked to your fucking leg anymore. Okay, you're not in prison anymore. But when you have a fucking master, what is his job when you're a fucking slave?
Just to watch your ass, keep you pushing, keep you down. I don't know what.
It gets you to fucking give up, man.
Oh,
Get you
man,
to fucking give the fuck up. So you're just like, and I get what you're saying too, because I'm the same way. Like, I don't want to say I've given up, but I'm a lot more hesitant to give my energy outward anymore. You know what I mean? I know if I give my energy too much outward in the wrong direction, there's going to be a boss. There's going to be someone that wants to take it. There's going to be the government's going to want to take it, whether if you're legal through taxes, and if you're illegal through the prison system and just through raids. Like, it doesn't, and I'm not trying to be like negative. I'm just trying to say it is really fucking hard to make a living being legal.
Yeah.
You know, that
is what it is. We gotta keep pushing though, right?
Gotta keep pushing. You can't give up, because if you do, then you're slave. You become the ultimate fucking slave. They have conquered your mind. You know, so you know, I feel you, and I try not to give up. I'm not saying we're giving up. Obviously, we're talking now. Through talking about it, I think it awakens more people, and through awakening, I think if we, redirect that energy inward to our family, and then our family becomes healthier and we become healthier, I think then we begin to win again. Our power begins to become collectively stronger, like a strong humic layer in the soil becomes stronger because the bacteria are holding together, the minerals are there, the food's there for anything to flourish. And I think that's ultimately how we're going to win, but it becomes a long-term vision. A 50-year long vision. I think about my grandma all the time. We in our clan, we have, I don't know, maybe 400 strong that came from one fucking woman. You know what I mean? So
she was busy.
She was fucking busy as no. You get what I'm saying? Not like one produced 400, but one produced 11 that produced fucking this, so on and so on. And I think if we generate, instead of giving our energy to the government and to the military and to local gangs and regional gangs, and to giving it too much to our supposable friends, and we're giving them to people that aren't really our friends, and we redirect our energy to identifying our core values, right? And then identifying more people that are in line with our values, and then influencing our wives or our husbands to develop their own core values, and then allow that to marinate for a couple decades. Then we have our own fucking strong ass fucking clan that we begin actually collectively fight back, but just in a different way.
That's why I like to put it like it's the ripple. The ripple effect is that one drop, right? That one drop that you do, and it creates this big ripple effect where you're touching all these people. We're us over here doing this show right now. We have been touching a lot of people out here. I don't mean like that, but I mean we are touching. We are connecting with people, and we're showing people that this is possible to keep, the cannabis plant going, to be able to even like keep persevering through all the stuff that you've been through. You're still going, buddy. You're still kicking it. You're still going. You're still spreading the knowledge and trying to teach these new growers, because I always say that the knowledge will live longer than we will. So we need to get this fucking knowledge out here so that these people can learn and keep going. If you teach a man to grow, he'll smoke for life. But if you give him some weed, he'll smoke for today. So.
This plant is really interesting because I think when we reflect back on cannabis 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and we think about its impact on what it actually did, and we obviously we highlighted the prison systems, like how it's been manipulated and used to destroy lives. But I think and I hope the resonating experience is going, or reflection back will be, or hindsight will be, that this plant got a whole sector of people engaged in growing, and they engaged in producing life, where I think in so much of our society, most people don't grow plants, right? We go to a job, we package something up, we ship it out, but how much human connection do we have to our food? How much human connection do we have to our medicine? And I think when we reflect back and have this hindsight experience with cannabis, we're going to realize, like, wow, this plant influenced tens of thousands of people worldwide to connect to our soil again, right? To connect to our food, to connect to our medicine, to try to identify where it's coming from, who's producing it, how are they producing it, how are we going to produce it, how are we going to benefit from it. And I think that is ultimately, when I use the word they, I think that's a society we live in. They're trying to remove us from becoming aware of how to do things, right? How to save ourselves, how to empower ourselves. I think they're trying to create an environment where we become dependent on them. I think this plant, it really brought in hundreds of thousands of people to become, to fight that that mindset of giving up and becoming a slave. I think it empowered us.
I feel like it's we're less in tune with Mother Earth. Okay, that's what's going on. We're less we're being disconnected, because putting your hands in the soil, it does something to us. Okay, as humans, it makes our immune system better. It gets dopamine going. Like, it makes you feel better to be in the soil and just growing, to cultivate plants. I feel it in my heart every time I grow a plant. I love the plant. I don't know what it is. I fall in love with plants. And most of us growers out here know that feeling. Some of us don't get that, brother. They don't have that feeling of what the connection with plants is. I don't know why I have it, but it's something that I'm glad that I do, because it's something because it's weird. People call it a green thumb, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's more, I'm in tune with the fucking Mother Earth. That's what I did.
You get me on an interview, you never know what's going to come out of my fucking mouth, man. I hope that this was interesting in some level to you, to the
almost
people that you release it to.
Yeah, man. Shit, this is what this show is about, is just having a convo. So that's CannaConvos. So we're having a conversation. We don't even need to go through the questions, because the questions could be for part 2 when I get you on. We are at our 52-minute mark, so we are almost done with the show. But I do want to get one last question out for you.
Yeah,
this one is important. All right. Now, what is your advice for the new grower? one of those advice that you would say, you know, there's people say, other people have said patience. Other people have said, you know, do your research. What would you say?
I am a lot more systematic than that. All that stuff is very floozy to me. I'm more of the type of person that likes to create a systematic process to get you somewhere. And so if it was my one piece of advice, I would say to identify just identify three personal core values for yourself. And then as you go through the cannabis or growing experience, before you spend money, before you make a decision, run that decision through your personal core values and say, is this buying $10,000 of equipment without talking to my wife about it in line with being respectful? Maybe not. Maybe I should talk to her about it. Maybe she will encourage me to buy one light with her full support and tell me if I grow 6 plants healthy and gives me goals and objectives, then she's going to write the check for $20,000, to expand to a 20 lighter. So I think if you do that, in all of it, should I buy this type of fertilizer, right? And then you're going to be like, well, how do they make this fertilizer? Right? What types of laboratory testing do they do it? Is this clean fertilizer? Right? How does this affect your soil biology? Once you identify your core values and you run your decisions through it before you take action, you're going to end up coming through that experience, not just with a great product, but also being incredibly proud of yourself as a person. So I would say that would be my one suggestion.
Okay. All right. I like it. Yeah. I feel like that is a good way. What I would sum it up is have a good game plan, because you brought up a good point, right? By running it by your wife. Okay. Everybody out there, if you're growing cannabis and you just decided you're not living you're not at your own house or somebody else's house, your parents or whatever, and you start fucking popping up a tent, like, it's a lot. All right, there's a lot that comes with this. You need to be warning people. You need to be warning your wife. You need to be warning everybody. Hey, I'm doing this new endeavor. It's gonna be a little bit, just give them a heads up at least. I mean, shit, so that they know, because it's a lot. There's tents, there's lights, there's soil, there's DWCs, there's waters, there's plugins, there's expenses, if you're going indoor.
There's floods where water goes all over the house. You don't fucking do it right.
Floods, there's bugs, there's, mold can happen. There are many, 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 many variables and things that can go wrong in growing. Now you want to be ready for this. At least do your research. Is what we're here for. We point out things like that. Things like, let's just say, there's a reason why people don't want you growing bud in the closet at apartment complexes. The reason why is because the humidity gets a little bit too high and mold will start to grow behind the walls. Now, if it's starting to grow behind the walls and the humidity is too high, nobody knows that it's there. And then it starts to spread. And guess what? Now it turns into a $30,000, $40,000 repair because you wanted to grow some weed in your closet, and that is why some people get really pissed over there's things like that. There's like the floods, like Mark just said, right? I was looking back on your Instagram page and you have the Blue Mat watering system on there, right? And you do promote a lot of good products on there. I want to give you some props on that one. Some of the products that you do promote is the Drops Balance, the Organic Shield Biochemical Insecticide. I want to get a little bit more information on that one, but the Blue Mat watering system. Now, the Blue Mat watering system is the one that I use. That one has a tendency to flood if you're not using it right. If you do not do, I would say, what is it? User error? How do you say that?
The air pumps?
Huh?
When you said the air.
User error is probably what it was.
Oh, user error. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's user error because I just kept getting a bunch of floods. And if I wouldn't have been in a tent, that water would have went all over the floor and it would have it would have been I was pissed a few times. Well, turns out I was not using a purge valve. You really want to put a purge valve on those systems. That way you can open the water line and let the air out, and then the carrots will work perfectly. I have not had a flood since I put those in. That's a heads up for everybody out there. The Organic Shield biochemical insecticide. I wanted to ask you about that. That is an insecticide that is all natural?
Yes, it's so it uses natural plant esters, and the product's an incredible product. When it evaporates away into water, CO2, and sugar. And so I have videos showing how it increases the surface area of the CO2 surface area of the leaf above 700 parts per million for roughly around 24 to 36 hours. So as it's evaporate, it's literally just a nice thin coat of CO2 around the leaf. You know, and it's a kill on contact product. It's like it's literally the only pesticide fungicide product in the industry I actually promote it. I don't promote anything else, and I would prefer to grow without a pesticide if I didn't have OrganiShield and just navigate that, than to grow with a pesticide. And over the years, I've also recognized that just having really strong, healthy soil, bacterial system, the drops of balance with the trace mineral, healthy plants. You know, occasionally I get bugs. But how healthy was the plant to begin with? You know, love that product.
Love it.
And you can use it all the way to flowering. The drops of balance. The reason why I love that product is, and you saw it at the house when I did that test with all of you guys, right?
We did. Now he brought the test over, everybody. I should have some footage in my phone. I probably want to put it up. We did have a post. I'm pretty sure we have a little bit of footage in there somewhere. I'll try to put it in here on the show. Where Mark was showing us how much of these minerals that are left in our water, the fluoride. Fluoride was the big one, buddy. When you said fluoride and you pointed that out, I was like, oh shit, I forgot. Yeah, we've had this big problem over here where they're adding fluoride to everybody's water, and just because it's supposed to help with teeth, right? But you're supposed to brush your teeth with fluoride, not swallow it. Fluoride is not good to have in your thing, and I would imagine it'd be good in your plant either. So that's where the drops of balance comes in.
You saw all that. No, it's like I love this because you're aware of this stuff, right? And so it makes it easier to talk about it. And you saw that stuff come out of the water, right?
Yes.
And what I have this right here. I don't know if you can see it right here, right? So this is 40 to 45 gallons of drinking tap water. I cleaned with drops of balance. And I clean my own tap water to drink it, right? So this is 45 gallons that came out. So you got to think about this for a second. That your body would end up collecting this, but for your plants in general, when you really think about this, we're giving. I mean, depending upon the size of your grow. By the end of your grow, you've probably have put through by each plant, depending on the size of it, 90 to a couple hundred gallons of water, right? And I know if you're using RO water, you got to put everything back in, but most people don't realize that a liquid fertilizer, there's a huge amount of heavy metals in liquid fertilizer, right? So you're going to get the same thing, right? So all this crap, whether you use RO water and put fertilizer back into it, all this crap is still in there, right, in that water. And so you put all that shit into your soil, and most people wonder why some of their plants, over time might start to freak out, or they have a bad grow. You have 2 or 3 good grows and they have a really bad grow. Well, I mean, how much shit has been filtered through that soil and it's got recollected, right? So the drops of balance, it makes all this stuff inert. It makes it no longer water soluble, so it can't interact with the plants can't take it up, because most people don't realize that cannabis is a bioaccumulator. And so, and it bioaccumulates and actually stores all of the heavy metals in the trichomes, actually in the trichome. So if we use stuff that has heavy metals in it, like liquid fertilizer, or even dry amendments where they're harvesting all these back guanos and all this stuff and how their techniques, all kinds of heavy metals get accumulated in there. So right, so when we make them water soluble and they get taken up by the plant, all this shit gets stored in the trichomes. So when we smoke this, we're smoking all of the heavy metals, right?
That's why I get so high. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
I know, because I've been sitting there wondering. I've been wondering for a minute. I was like, dude, I get a little bit higher off of my stuff. I don't know what it is, like, but anyways, yeah, sorry. Okay, go.
No, it's just we're also getting the THC and the terpenes, and that's all very beneficial. But the heavy metals get accumulated in our lungs, right? So we're creating a medicine, but we're also creating a toxin. And I think that's why drops of balance becomes so significant. Is like, I'll give you an example with food. People are allergic to kale, for example. I don't know or they're allergic to some various types of food. And I've always wondered, is it because of the heavy metals that those plants bioaccumulate specifically, that then accumulate in the person's body, and then they're having an allergic reaction to the heavy metals and a specific type of heavy metal, not to the actual specific type of food. So, and I think, and obviously people are allergic to certain types of food and that are naturally allergic, but then there's people that are allergic to things that become allergic over time. And that's specifically what I'm describing. So that's what drops of balance does. That's why that product's significant. And then another product push heavily is called BAM, and BAM stands for Badass Microbes. And that product is very similar to EM1. The main difference is that while BAM is fermenting, it's fermenting in uses the raw materials that drops of balance is made out of. And why is that significant? Well, bacteria everything's about enzyme production. So bacteria need coenzymes to produce enzymes, and so coenzymes are trace minerals, right? So the entire time the BAM is fermenting, it's producing a large amount of enzymes. We're not just producing bacteria, but it's also producing enzymes. So those are pretty much the three products that Perfect Garden survives off of, besides consulting. And yeah, I don't really sell on healthy soil, clean food, clean medicine, and teach people still how to grow the plant.
Good. I like it. Is there anybody else that you wanted to plug while we're heading out?
I would, if there was anyone like I would like to put up on a pedestal and just say thank you, I'd definitely would love to just say thank you to my mother and my father.
Right.
You know, they're my fucking heroes. You know, and I wouldn't be here without them. You know, and so, yeah. Good.
Hell yeah. I am so glad that Vixen sent you an offer to come to the Growmie Getaway, because it was a great time, man. Great time meeting you. I had a great time, all of it. I'm so glad that you came on the show. I definitely want you on the show for part 2 down the road, huh?
Cool. I love it, man. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your channel. I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you. Now, for everybody, thanks for tapping in for this episode of CannaConvos. For me, you already know, go check out Canna Concepts, Grovebags, Stash Blend. The Stash Blend just came out with the new nutrient line, organic nutrient line that you were talking about. I don't know how it's sourced, but we'll figure that out. Seasman.com. Get yourself 10% off if you put code SLY at most of those websites. The way to try it. Canna Concept, I know, but Growebags, they just support the channel and they're really cool. So, and Growershouse. Who else is Ogo and Gambit Grown? Make sure to go check out all them Internet of Pots. Now, Mark, have you? I know I sent you the little thing of the Internet of Pot. Have you signed up for the beta? Well, it doesn't matter. We're pushing out the app soon, anyways. By the time this episode comes out, the app should be out, and you will be able to try the virtual logo, which is the.
I'm excited. I want to know what it's about.
Good. It's bro. It's fucking cool, man. It's a grow log, a teaching. We got teaching courses. We're gonna have a social media aspect to it too. That is up to coming. Right now, we're really focusing on the virtual logo and connecting everybody. Yeah, it should be out by then. So everybody come check out virtual logo and Internet of Pot. We have all the links and everything will be in the description on the video, man. And all your links will be there too, Mark. And that way everybody will be able to go see you.
Thank you,
like I said, brother, once again, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll catch you for the next time. CannaConvos, sorry, I got stoned. Thanks.
Every state has its secrets, and Washington's got two faces. Rainforest on the coast, dry scrub in the east. One man seen it all, guerrilla grower. Outlaw teacher Sly, aka local. That's why Internet of Pot partner with him, to learn, to log, to grow smarter.
Oh, local walks through cedar shade. Raindrops heavy where the rivers wave. Across the mountains, sun bakes ground. Sandy loam, dust swirling round. He's run crops hidden deep in the pines. Tracked the seasons, read the signs. Now his lessons feed the code. Internet of Pot walks the road. Partner with the pioneers, wisdom flows. Like a local, the system grows. From wet west woods to dry east stone. CannaConvos makes the knowledge our own. Know your soil, he laughs. That's the start. Clay grips tight, sand falls apart. One strain thrives in the valley floor, another up high where the eagles soar. Think first growers debate, refine. AI listens, adjusts in time. Old hands teach, young minds learn. Together the cycle takes its turn.
Internet of Pot ain't guessing, it's listening. Every tip from local gets lost.